In a world divided by beliefs, there lies a hidden thread, woven through temples, mosques, churches, and mountains that connects us all. The words may differ, the rituals may vary, but the message is strikingly the same. Across five great religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Taoism, we find ancient guidance on living well, loving others, and finding peace within. Judaism is one of the oldest monotheistic religions, tracing back over 3,000 years to the covenant between God and Abraham. Its teachings are rooted in the Torah, the first five books of the Hebrew Bible, and further interpreted in the Talmud, a vast collection of rabbinical wisdom. To be Jewish is to walk humbly with God and live in partnership with the divine, to bring healing and light to creation. Christianity began over 2,000 years ago with the life and teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, whom Christians believe to be the Son of God and the Messiah. Its sacred text is the Bible, including the Old Testament, shared with Judaism and the New Testament, which records Jesus' life, message, in the early Christian community. At its core, Christianity calls for inner transformation, not through rules alone, but through a living relationship with divine love. Islam emerged in the 7th century through the revelations given to the Prophet Muhammad. Its sacred book is the Qur'an, believed to be the literal word of God. The sayings and actions of the Prophet are preserved in the Hadith. Islam means surrender, to live in harmony with God's will. Muslims believe life is a test, and the highest purpose is to worship God through both devotion and daily acts of goodness. Buddhism began in India over 2,500 years ago with Siddhartha Gautama, later known as the Buddha, the Awakened One. Unlike theistic religions, Buddhism does not focus on a creator God. Instead, it teaches how to understand the nature of suffering, overcome desire, and achieve enlightenment. Buddhism invites followers to wake up from illusion and live with wisdom, kindness, and deep inner peace. Taoism arose in ancient China and is based largely on the teachings of the Tao Te Ching, traditionally attributed to Lao Tzu, a sage who lived over 2,000 years ago. Rather than a religion in the traditional sense, Taoism is a philosophy and spiritual path that seeks harmony with the Tao, the way, the natural flow of the universe. To follow the Tao is not to dominate, but to align, to live effortlessly like water flowing around stones. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore the sacred texts of the Bible, the Qur'an, the Tanakh, the Dhammapada, and the Tao Te Ching, not to argue which is right, but to discover what they all share. And most importantly, how these timeless teachings can help you live with more clarity, calm, and meaning. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Purpose of Life. Why are we here? Every human being at some point pauses and wonders, why am I here? Is there a reason for my existence beyond survival and comfort? Surprisingly, 5 of the world's most influential religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, and Taoism, offer remarkably similar answers, even though they arose in different lands, cultures, and times. Despite differing in rituals and beliefs, they converge on this truth. Life is not random. You are here for a reason. Your soul has meaning. Let's explore how each tradition answers this great question. In Judaism, the purpose of life is to serve God by living righteously and ethically, acting as a moral light to the world. Life is sacred, and our time here is part of a larger divine mission. In Deuteronomy 30:19 you read, I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your offspring may live. To choose life means to choose good, justice, compassion, and through that to fulfill your spiritual calling. Christianity teaches that life's ultimate purpose is love, to love God, love others, and be transformed by grace into the best version of ourselves. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Matthew 22:37-39. Through Jesus, Christians believe life is an invitation to grow spiritually, forgive deeply, and serve selflessly. In Islam, the purpose of life is to worship Allah and live in obedience, with awareness and intention. Life is a test, and each action matters. Qur'an 51:56 says, I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me. Worship in Islam isn't just prayer. It's in every sincere action, from helping a neighbor to feeding the poor. Life is about remembering God and doing good. On the other hand, Buddhism sees life as a journey of awakening. The goal is to understand the truth of existence and free ourselves from suffering caused by desire, ignorance, and attachment. Dhammapada said, to understand everything is to forgive everything. The purpose is not to worship a deity, but to cultivate wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. Reaching a state of enlightenment, Taoism teaches that life flows from the Tao, the great way that governs the universe. The purpose is to live in harmony with nature, flow, and simplicity. Taoism asks us not to fight life, but to flow with it. By letting go of force and ego, we live more freely and fully. Despite their differences, these teachings echo a common spiritual code. 1. You are more than your body. You have a soul, a higher nature. 2. Life is a gift. It's not meaningless. It's sacred. 3. You are here to grow in love, wisdom, humility, and peace. And 4. You are not alone. Whether it's God, the Tao, or collective karma, something greater is guiding the path. Emerson said, the goal of life is not to be happy, it is to be useful, to be honorable, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. And so whatever path you walk, temple, church, mosque, mountain, or none at all, the first thread is clear. You were made for more. Chapter 2. Moral Duty and Right Living. How the Great Faiths Guide Our Choices. The true test of wisdom is how we live, not what we believe, but how we behave when no one's watching. Across the ages, humanity has been guided by sacred voices, whispers from temples, chants from mosques, verses from mountaintops, all pointing to the same truth. We are meant to live rightly, with compassion, courage, humility, and truth. From the Hebrew prophets to the sayings of the Buddha, from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount to the Qur'an's commands, and the Taoist wisdom of effortless virtue, we are given not rules to control us, but principles to uplift us. From all traditions comes the call, speak the truth, live the truth. Jesus said in Matthew 5:37, let your yes be yes, and your no be no. The Buddha included right speech as one of the 8 paths to liberation. Avoid lying, harsh words, and idle gossip. And the Qur'an reminds believers in 2:42, do not mix the truth with falsehood or conceal the truth while you know it. To be moral is to align your words with your soul, to speak only what builds, not breaks. Righteousness isn't passive. It's the courage to do what's right, even when it's hard. Jesus turned over tables in the temple, not in hate but in righteous fire. The Torah praises those who defend the widow, care for the orphan, and speak truth to power. The Qur'an calls believers to enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong. The step is always toward truth, kindness, and rightness. While our ego tempts us to dominate, boast, or seek revenge, every great faith says, resist that voice. Moses, its greatest prophet, is described not as powerful, but more humble than any man on earth. Judaism teaches that even kings must carry a Torah scroll to remind them they are not above the law. The Prophet Muhammad once said, no one humbles himself for the sake of Allah except that Allah raises him in status. In Buddhism, pride is a mental poison, and in Taoism, he who brags will not endure. Each tradition reminds us, power that is not tamed by humility becomes destruction. So what is moral duty? It is not a rule book. It is a way of being, to act from love, live with courage, speak with honesty, and walk with humility. No matter your tradition, whether you pray, meditate, bow, or simply reflect, you are invited to choose justice over convenience, choose compassion over anger, and choose peace over pride. And in doing so, you fulfill your deepest purpose. Chapter 3. The Problem of Suffering: How Different Faiths Understand Pain and Transformation. When life hurts, pain visits everyone. Loss, betrayal, fear, failure. None of us are spared. And while modern life often tells us to run from discomfort, the great religions whisper something deeper. Suffering is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of transformation. Across deserts, mountains, palaces, and forests, sages and prophets have spoken the same truth. To live is to suffer. To suffer is to awaken. Not because pain is good, but because through it, we remember what truly matters. In the Hebrew Bible, suffering is often a test of faith and character. Job, stripped of everything, sits in ashes. But he does not curse. He questions, he wrestles, he remains. And in the end, he emerges not broken, but refined. In Psalm 34:18, you read, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." In Islam, suffering is a test, a purification of the soul. Life is not meant to be easy, but meaningful. The Qur'an echoes this in 94:6. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Suffering is not a punishment, but a trial. And with each trial comes growth, if we let it. In Christianity, suffering is not only allowed, but it is embraced with compassion. Jesus, nailed to a cross, suffers with and for the world. And in that moment of agony, a deeper love is revealed. In Romans 5:3, you'll read, "Suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, and character produces hope." The root of awakening Buddhism begins with a simple yet powerful truth. Life is suffering, stress, dissatisfaction. But this is not despair. It's clarity. Once you understand suffering, you can understand its cause and its release. The Buddha taught that pain comes from attachment to people, to outcomes, to ego. And by letting go, we become free, not from life, but from its chains. Taoism offers a softer, flowing wisdom. Instead of resisting pain, it teaches us to yield, like bamboo in the wind. He who stands on tiptoe is not steady. He who rushes ahead does not go far. Tao Te Ching, chapter 24. When we cling, we break. But when we let go, we bend and survive. Suffering, then, is a reminder to return to the natural rhythm of life, to stop fighting what is and learn to float. Each tradition speaks in its own voice, but when you listen closely, they all say, pain is part of the path. Suffering refines the soul. Growth is born from struggle, and there's always peace on the other side. Not one of these sacred texts promises a painless life. All of them promise that if you endure with love, humility, and wisdom, you will not suffer in vain. Chapter 4. Letting Go of Ego: The Path to Inner Peace. He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty. Tao Te Ching, chapter 33. The Illusion of I. At the heart of human struggle lies one invisible force, the ego, the false sense of self we try to defend, prove, and protect. It whispers, I must win. I must be right. I must be seen. But every great religion tells us this I is not who we truly are. Letting go of ego isn't weakness. It's the path to real power, the kind that brings peace, clarity, and connection. In Judaism, the greatest prophet, Moses, is praised not for his miracles, but for his humility. Righteousness begins when we stop making ourselves the center of the story and start serving a purpose bigger than our pride. Jesus, too, taught radical humility, the art of dying to the ego. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. Matthew 16:25. This doesn't mean physical death. It means dying to the ego's demands, to be praised or to be powerful or to be above others. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus blessed the meek, the poor in spirit, the merciful, those who had let go of arrogance and learned to walk gently. The very word Islam means surrender, not to another human, but to God. Our ego resists this, but the Qur'an teaches in 1737, "Do not walk upon the earth arrogantly. Indeed, you will never tear the earth apart, and you will never reach the mountains in height." Prophet Muhammad said, "No one who has an atom's weight of arrogance in their heart will enter paradise." However, no tradition strikes at the ego as directly as Buddhism. It teaches that the self is not solid, it's a story we cling to, and that clinging is the root of suffering. The path to enlightenment is not in becoming more, but in realizing there was nothing to defend all along. Letting go of ego reveals the truth of inner being, that all life is connected. You are not a wave apart from the ocean. You are the ocean in wave form. All 5 traditions tell us, you don't need to become more. You need to let go. Let go of pride. Let go of needing to be right. Let go of needing recognition. And in that letting go, you will find peace. Lao Tzu said, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." The ego is loud, but the soul is still. And in that stillness lives the truth of who you are. Chapter 5, Love and Compassion, the greatest teaching of all faiths. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Romans 13:10. Love is the universal language of the soul, not just romantic or emotional love, but the deep, active force that seeks no reward, that lifts the suffering and asks, "How can I ease your burden?" In every major religion, love and compassion are not accessories to faith. They are the very core of it. In Judaism, love is not a feeling. It's a commandment. You read this in Leviticus 19:18. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. This is echoed almost word for word by Jesus, who says, "This is the second greatest commandment, and like the first. Love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you." The Prophet Muhammad taught that even giving water to a thirsty dog is a deed rewarded by God. The most merciful shows mercy to those who are merciful to others. Mercy is not optional. It's the nature of God Himself, and we are meant to reflect it on earth. In Buddhism, love and compassion are not just virtues, they are paths to enlightenment. Buddha said, as a mother would protect her only child, even at the risk of her own life, so should one cultivate boundless love toward all beings. You don't love because someone deserves it. You love because suffering exists, and you're awake enough to care. Here's a gentle power that nourishes all. Heaven gives and does not keep. The sage acts with kindness and does not expect. Tao Te Ching, Chapter 77. Compassion is one of the 3 treasures of Taoism, along with simplicity and humility. To follow the way is to love without pride, to serve without seeking return, to become like water, nourishing all things without effort or ego. All these traditions teach, love is not earned, it is given. Compassion is not weakness, it is divine strength. Forgiveness is not defeat, it is the triumph of the soul over the ego. And they all speak the same truth. Principle, sacred teaching. Love others, be merciful, forgive freely, and serve all beings. Chapter 6, Harmony with the Divine, Many Names, One Source. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "God has no religion. Humanity has always looked upward, to the stars, the sky, the unknown, and wondered, what is behind all this? Who or what made me? Is there something greater than myself?" Every great religion answers in its own voice. Some say God, some say Allah. Others speak of the Tao, the Dharmakaya, or the one beyond naming. But when we listen beyond the words, we hear the same yearning, the same reverence. There is something beyond the visible world, and we are meant to live in harmony with it. When Moses asked for God's name, the reply was, "I am that I am." Exodus 3:14. God is both near and far, yet the divine cannot be seen, only felt, a flame that burns but does not consume, a presence that guides, corrects, and heals. In Christianity, the divine is revealed not only as creator, but as love itself. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. John 4:16. Jesus taught that to see God, One must become like a child, humble, open, trusting. He prayed not to a distant force, but to Abba, a word meaning father or beloved source. This closeness to the divine is not earned by fear, but accepted through grace, humility, and love. In Islam, Allah is one, without shape, without image, but infinitely near. Harmony with God with surrender. Not blind submission, but trust in the unseen order of the universe. Quran 50:16 says, "He is closer to you than your jugular vein." Buddhism, however, does not teach a creator God, yet it speaks of something deeper than form, the original nature. The Buddha did not speak of God, but of awakening, to see through illusion and realize unity with all that is. The sacred is not above, it is within, in the breath, in awareness, in compassion. To be enlightened is to live in harmony with reality, free of ego and illusion. Taoism avoids the word God entirely. It calls the source of all things the Tao, the way. The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. Tao Te Ching, Chapter 1. The Tao is not a being. It is the natural flow of existence, behind stars, rivers, wind, and life. To follow the Tao is to stop resisting the current of life and to begin flowing with it. In chapter 25 it says, man follows earth, earth follows heaven, heaven follows the Tao follows what is natural. This harmony is not achieved through worship, but through simplicity, quietude, and alignment. Each faith may use different maps, but all are climbing the same mountain of meaning toward a source both intimate and infinite. They all whisper, "You are not alone. You are guided. The divine is real. The path is within." Whether you sit, kneel, bow, or walk in silence, the inner stillness is what matters most. In stillness, we remember who we are. You do not need to follow a religion to walk the path. But if you listen closely to the wisdom of the ages, they all invite you to become more compassionate than yesterday, more mindful in action, more open in heart, more free from fear. In the end, all religions are one, not in doctrine, but in destiny, to awaken the human soul to its highest nature. I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.